I had no plans to do this, but I was just cleaning up from my last YouTube video that I did, which was the tomato cage, I'm pointing to it, the tomato cage jumbo gnome. And as I was cleaning up, I got really mad because I had bought this sweater that I was gonna use for it and it didn't work out. And I had already cut the arms off of it. I was going to use the arms for the gnome's arms. And I said, I really like this sweater. It's got a little gold shimmer to it, and it's a great color, a lot of the colors that they use now. I said, you know what? I'm gonna throw together something real quick because the girl at the bank's been really nice to me. So maybe I'll make her something real quick and I can use that, the sweater arm. So I just threw this together, and it was just, when I tell you in minutes, it was in minutes. And I think it came out maybe YouTube worthy because it was so easy. So I'm gonna do a second one, not exactly like this, but I am gonna use my leftover sweater arm. And unexpectedly, here I am doing a real quick video, so hang in there with me. Okay, tip number one, I did cut the top of this sock off because it was really skinny and I couldn't get it down over the frame. And then when I did, it wouldn't go all the way to the bottom, but it really doesn't matter about this. I cut a hole in the top just to slide this over to keep those little nubs smooth. And actually they work real well because you can hook the sock to the nubs and it holds it, so you don't have to glue it or anything. It wants to stick. So if you run short, the sock that you use, if it doesn't make it all the way to the bottom, just cut a hole in the top. And the same thing when you put the one that you're gonna use for the outside, same thing. If it doesn't go all the way over and around the bottom, just cut a hole in the top because you're going to have a hat on them anyway. And you're not even going to see this. So that you know what size sock I'm using, I don't think I said it. I'm just using a little tennis sock, and it does make it all the way over. Now, here's the issue: is the heel comes right here. So one of two things: either you do a beard large enough that it goes over that, you won't even see it, or you make it the back. And I'm going to use a smaller beard on him, so I'm going to turn that to the back, so there will be a kind of a front back to him, but I think it's going to be okay. So here's the arm of the sweater that I cut off to use for the tomato cage gnome that ended up not working out. And so if you I cut it off like this because I was going to make that gnome arm, and now I really don't need it on an angle like that, so I'm just going to cut it straight across. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this up one, up again, twice. And I'm going to take little dots of hot glue. This is going to be the back where the seam is that goes under the sweater arm is going to be the back. I'm now just going to take some hot glue, and I'm just going to put little dabs of glue inside and just a little dab all the way around. I don't want it to seem like it's stuck, so I'll just put little dabs, like maybe in 4 corners. And then on the top, I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did with here with just an old piece of jute that I had from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then we'll work on the nose. Okay, I took a piece of, I think it was rope that I got from Dollar Tree. It really wasn't jute. And I've just tied the end of the sleeve, and then I flipped the little cuff up and then just unwind the strings so it can be a little messy, which always looks cute. I haven't glued this on yet. But I am going to show you, as far as a nose, what I'm going to use. Okay, so there he is. And what I'm going to do is use I'm going to take some cotton, this is cotton batting, and I'm going to take a chunk off, enough to make a ball. And I happen to have an old pair of gray pantyhose. I hate doing this because I like for the viewers to have things that they have in their house and not have to look around for gray pantyhose. Or actually, you could just use, if you even wear pantyhose anymore, if you have an old pet or something. And that works too because it's flesh color. And then I'll show you what I do. I cut a circle, just let's say even out of a piece of material, a thin piece of material. I cut a circle, and it doesn't have to be perfect because it's all this is going to be in the back. And then just take a needle and thread and just go in and out all the way around so that you can pull it and have a little hole. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so once you do a little circle of thread around the edge like that, it makes like a, I don't know, a hole inside of it that you can stuff. I still have double your thread because you are going to be pulling it. And then you just take a piece of cotton batting, cotton balls. And by the way, if you just don't have this, I have another idea for you. So, and you just stuff it. You stuff it until it's the size you want. And then you pull your string. I apologize for people that already sew and know how to do this, but this is in case that you don't know. Then you pull your string, and you're going to take all those little leftover pieces and kind of push it down in the hole, because when we put the gnome's nose up here, we want it to kind of go flat. Now, if you don't have all these supplies, go to your Christmas tree. Because I just went to my tree and I thought, I can do better for these people that don't have all these supplies. Go to your Christmas tree, pull out a bulb, and just glue it right in there. You won't have to worry about if you have a pantyhose or not. So here's the little nose, and then I just took the thread and went back and forth to close it up and got the size I wanted. And when you do the gnome, first of all, make sure that the seam of, if you use a sweater sleeve, make sure that the seam is in the back. And when you do a gnome, one of the things that makes it look so cute to me is when you really push that nose up and have the sweater coming down over it. So I am going to glue that nose up. I still don't have the sweater glued to this, which I will. But right now I'm going to glue that nose in. And the reason I'm not gluing the sweater down yet is because I need to lift this up and get the beard underneath there. And I don't want to have that glued down yet. Here's where you can have your own ideas and creativity. I have this fur. I think I got it at Walmart, but this is where you can decide. Do you want white beard like that, which looks pretty cute like that, or this came on a Dollar Tree stocking, and I think they're still selling them this year. I got them last year. I used the fabric from the stocking for something else, and I pulled the fur off, and I've been using this fur. Well, it's on that. That's from this trim that I got from Dollar Tree. So another option for him is to have this little beard, and I think that one works well too. It might even kind of tie in the grays. I think I'm going to use the same one again, but something else you can think about. This is kind of thick, but just for an example, just give him a mustache. Just give him a nice big old mustache, and that's kind of cute too. So that's up to you, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to decide how long I want it, how wide I want it. Then when you do this, you cut out a little notch, like a little V out of the fabric that's going to go up under the nose so that it kind of goes around and up in it. And then you lift the hat and you'll glue it on each side and then run it down. And I'll be back after I do that. Before I give you the finished product, I actually decided when I came up with that idea with the mustache that I kind of like it. It's very different. So what I did is I just cut a strip of that off. If you don't know about cutting fur, cutting it with a razor from the back, making sure you don't go all the way through is the best way to do it, because one thing you don't want to do is have that straight line like that, because you really want this. But in this case, it's going to be okay. I cut this strip, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it together, and then I'll have like a rolled piece of the fur, and then I'm going to probably put some thread around there to hold it into a little point and then get it around the bottom of his nose. I wanted to show you that I just took a little tiny piece of, actually it was the gray thread that I made the nose with, and I just wrapped it a few times so that it would squish there in the middle. You're not going to be able to see it because your glue is going to go right under that nose. And then you're gonna stick this up as high as you can underneath that. I am a hot mess because I've got two projects, one on top of another, and I was not expecting to do this. When I clean this up, I sure hope that I can realize that I have to really clean it up and not see something else that I want to make. So then, there. There we go. I think he came out unexpectedly cute. So now maybe I'm going to think about putting a little something on his head like I did the other one. Okay, well, my sweaters that I was so worried about didn't go to waste. They now have become two small gnomes, not my jumbo gnome. What I did do is I did a little clipping right in here so that there would be a separation under his nose. The hat's been tacked down to this sock so that it stays in place. And I decided to not use, I thought about putting a snowflake there and a snowflake over here. I just think he's plenty the way he is, and he doesn't need one. He's already cute enough. So I hope you enjoyed this last minute unprofessional, which all of mine are unprofessional, my unprofessional YouTubes, and you can throw this together as fast as I did. Happy holidays. Well, I went to clean up, and guess what? I had that leftover sweater. I used the sleeves, but I still had the rest of the sweater, and I want to share what I did, because now I'm kind of too far into it to do a video of how to use a sweater and make a bunch of gnome hats. So I'm going to try to explain, but here was the sweater, like this, and there was the sleeves. And here was the bottom, with this border around the very bottom. So I cut through the middle of the sweater, and I cut the bottom off into strips, and you can either stitch them together, or I stitch them together, or you can glue them so you make the circle just like the sleeve was. And out of that one sweater, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to get 6 hats. And I'm not quite sure if I'm going to give up because I have 6 hats. Anyway, I wanted to show you the ones that I made with the bottom half of the sweater that had the ribbing around the bottom. I made this little guy. And then I made this little guy. And then I made this little guy. So one sweater that I thought I had wasted turned into a whole bunch of gnome hats. The one thing I did want to mention, that when I made this one, I didn't really like how pointy this is right here. So as I've been making the other ones, I've been just taking a pair of wire clippers and just clipping that real pointy top off so it doesn't have so much like sticking out the top. But take one sweater and make a whole bunch of gnomes, and I'm cleaning up after this one's done.